it's funny, like you were talking about the idea of these fundamentals applying across different areas. I'd be interested to find out what sort of, like, I mean, those key insights, if you looked back, they would be almost like these leverage points, the points where once you got that, a lot of other things started to click together. I'm wondering if you have any other leverage points where you can look back, you know, it might even be something like when I started getting my customer support outsourced, I saw, you know, that as a leverage point because it freed me up for time. But what are some of those key leverage points looking back over your career that you identify as that was a big rock?
Yeah, okay. Well, we've talked about a couple, and I keep coming back to this. The first two that we've talked about, which are massive, are doing the due diligence. And if you want to break that down, what's due diligence? It's asking the right questions and never making an assumption. The best interviewers, the best people who are good at doing the due diligence, at doing the research, are the ones that ask all the questions. Yeah, I bet you've had this conversation in your head. I have this conversation in my head all the time. I'm having a little yellow flag. There's a little alarm bell going off about something. And maybe I'm buying a car or something. And, you know what, for whatever reason, I think, no, I'm not going to ask that. Or you don't feel like you're asking it because you think you might come across as sounding stupid or whatever, or you're embarrassed or whatever. You don't want to come across as not being knowledgeable. That's dumb.
That's the questions you have to ask.
They're the questions you must ask. You know, and, you know, I forget who it was. I wish I could credit the person. But, you know, if you ever watch Columbo, the old TV series, and he was like this doddering detective, and he would always, like, and people always underestimated him because he just seemed like this bumbling fool. But that's brilliant. It's brilliant to be the bumbling fool in your marketplace if you're the one who's asking all the key questions. And so due diligence, which is asking all of the questions, and I mean asking all of the questions and getting an answer, okay? Asking the questions and getting an answer. Shutting up. Don't answer for the other person. Let them tell you the answer. And even if that means you being quiet for a while, you be quiet for a while. Human beings abhor silence. They really do. And so if you ask a question and they're thinking about it for a bit, you're so likely to jump in and try to help them, either answer the question, particularly, and unfortunately, in our human nature being what it is, we tend to help them towards the answer that we want as opposed to the reality of the answer. So asking great questions and the power of a question and the power of spending just a little bit of time to come up with some great questions before you go into that situation, huge. Market research, huge. And then knowing that risk mitigation, which is, again, another, think about it, how powerful are these questions when you really cut it down. All of what I've just said is all about asking the right type of questions at the right time. Then, I suppose the next huge one for me, Dave, and this is something that I'm really, and you will have seen me ranting about it all last year, and it really is late to the party because I was looking at in online and online niches why some people are successful and why a lot aren't, and what are the core differences. And in particular, you know, I've got this privileged position, if you will, of literally seeing thousands of people with these businesses thanks to the 30-day challenge. And so I really was trying to figure out what is the core difference. And one of these things is, it's what I term market leadership. Okay. And what I mean by market leadership is that the people who are really successful, either them or a pseudonym, like it doesn't have to be them, it can be like a character, like just like Elton John is, what's his name? Dwight something. But, you know, whatever it happens to be, but they have a leadership position. What I mean by that is that they take a position in their marketplace. They are in discussions. They're the ones that speak at conferences. They're the ones that create blog posts. Tragically, I think one of the downsides of social media is that it has tricked a lot of people into thinking that if I retweet something in my marketplace that's interesting, I've just done as much effort as if I created a piece of content and had others retweet. And they think they're doing something without actually doing something. Retweeting is good, don't get me wrong. I think it's important to be the one who's delivering information into your market. But you know what? And when I started to look at this leadership, and I said, okay, these are people. How are these people becoming market leadership? How are they becoming market leaders. And again, to mention Seth Godin again, at the time I was looking at this, he wrote the book Tribes, and he pointed out that, and he calls them tribe leaders. Great analogy. How do people become this? And I realized, and this is where it hit me like a bolt from the blue, the only difference between somebody who is active in their marketplace and one who's not is their ability to put content into that marketplace. What I mean by content is it could be a blog post, it could be a podcast, it could be a video, it could be a PDF, could be an interview like we're doing now, it could be anything, but they are a net contributor into their marketplace, and they have positions, they have a viewpoint, and they participate. And so by doing this, and by doing that on a regular basis, now all of a sudden people in that marketplace, you're the one being retweeted. And by the way, what happens when you're retweeted? You're getting backlinks.
Yeah.
Right? This is how you this is the best SEO strategy in the world, is create original content that has a point of view in whatever medium. I don't care about the medium. You could use photography as your medium. You could use drawings as your medium, but you are a direct contributor into your marketplace. And for me, this insight has changed everything. It's not, unfortunately, without its downsides, in the sense that as soon as I use the term leader, a lot of people have flashbacks to being, as we would say here in Australia, dacked or wedgied, in the PE room, by the cheerleaders or the, captain of the football team, and there is often a negative connotation with the term leadership for a lot of people who are, and that corresponds exactly demographically with people who are shy about wanting to be involved in a marketplace. And this is a tragedy. This is a human tragedy. Because of their experience, whatever happened in their past has meant that they're shy. And because of their shyness, they are hesitant to put out something in the marketplace that could be criticised. So creating that content, huge realisation. That's all you have to do. Anybody who's doing this, and I'm actually doing some tests at the moment, you pick a marketplace and you do this, within 90 days, people are talking about you. It's just you publish great content when I say great content, publish content 5 days a week, because when you start, you'll be crap. Everybody thinks, Charles Dickens started out with, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. He did 15 different versions of that opening sentence in A Tale of Two Cities, right? Stephen King busts out content, and then he has to go back and edit it and edit it and edit it. What we see in his magnificent writing is the product of all these editors and himself reviewing and reviewing and reviewing and reviewing. A Gary Halbert sales letter is the product of 15 to 20 drafts where it's refining, editing. And unfortunately, in school, we're taught to edit as we go, which is a tragic. If you look at any decent writer, anybody who is a good content creator, they create the content, they divorce content creation from editing. They just get the stuff done. It's going to be rubbish, and accept that it's rubbish. And they get the stuff done. And then, Dave, the other element to this is, and this is a huge realization, if you want to do anything in a market, you have to be a market leader. Why? Because do you have to be a market leader to be successful in the market? No. Until somebody who knows what you do and is also prepared to be a market leader comes into your marketplace. And then you're screwed, because they'll take over from you. Because, why? Fundamental law. As a general rule, people buy from people they know. If you've got a choice, same product, same service, same everything, you know person A, you don't know person B, who are you going to buy from? You're going to buy from the person you know. Physics. So, okay, we have to get out there, and we've finally gotten out there, and we've got the guts and the determination to put out content on a regular basis.